Welcome back to BetterAvecBourbon. Today we'll be unboxing and sampling Booker's Kentucky Straight Bourbon. It's a 7-year-old, 124.4 proof spirit. We'll also be comparing it to another member of the Jim Beam Bourbon family, the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve, which is aged 9 years and sits at 120 proof. The Booker's comes in this awesome rustic wooden box, like its own personal shipping crate, finished with a plastic display that looks like glass. To open it, you slide the plastic up and out, and pull your bottle out that's anchored in a snug clamp. I personally love the creativity and likely won't be in a hurry to recycle this box anytime soon. I'll be sniffing, swirling, and tasting both of these bourbons and examining why I might pick one over the other, and also examine if both of these deserve a spot on your shelf. For this we'll need our bourbon, clean Glencairns, and some water to cleanse in between. Gather your ingredients, tools, and let's get to it. To start, let's open it up and give it a pour. Booker's labels what batch it is on the neck of every bottle. Looking it up, this is an international release of the Springfield batch, which is the 2024-1. The Booker's 2024-1E has been aged for 7 years, 1 month, 12 days compared to the Springfield that sits at 7 years, 7 months, and 8 days. Let's start by giving it a swirl, making sure the glass is nice and coated to help activate some of the good smells and bad odors, and so we can make an accurate assessment, as well as take a look at the legs on the bourbon. As you can see, the legs are quite thick and move very slowly down the glass. Lots of tannins adding to the viscosity and eventual mouthfeel. Some say you shouldn't swirl the bourbon as it will increase evaporation of the ethanol, which can overwhelm the nose, but I find it quite the opposite, provided you're not swirling it under your nose. I think at minimum you should be turning the bourbon in the Glencairns slowly at a 45-degree angle to coat the glass to ensure you're not picking up any dish detergent or other unwanted notes from the glass itself. I also find resting for a few minutes to be unnecessary unless you store your alcohol in a cold, dark place and need to come up to room temperature. Much more efficient to swirl, especially if your glass is also at room temperature. Based on Booker's site, which I'll link below, we should be able to observe the following. Color, our darkest and deepest amber and henna color. Can confirm, it's dark like you'd expect from a high-proof aged bourbon. Very much has that amber ale caramel color to it. For the aroma, we should get robust vanilla and caramel notes. Slightly smoky. I get some vanilla, but I mostly get a salty caramel smell with a smoky accent. So there's a very strong roasted peanut smell, but everything else is more muted for me. For taste, we should be expecting deep and complex flavors of vanilla, nuts, and oak. So let's try it. I definitely get roasted salted peanuts, some walnut in there as well, with charred oak in the background with a bit of caramel, toffee, and vanilla hanging out. But it's definitely largely dominated by a salted, nutty flavor with charred oak. For finish, Booker says we should expect it to be long and full. It does have a great mouthfeel and definitely lingers like you'd hope at this proof and price. Altogether, I think they've put together a really nice package. I love the handwritten style of the label, the nice bow around the neck, and the crate it comes in. Really well crafted and certainly provides a nice experience. But let's compare how Booker's does against one of its sibling bourbons, the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve. They're very similar in color. When swirling, it seems like the Knob Creek is less viscous. It smells and tastes a little bit more inviting than the Booker's. Still has a slight peanut quality, but mostly oaky vanilla. Very classic bourbon flavor with some cinnamon playing background music. I love how different Booker's tastes with the salted peanut toffee, but the nose of the Knob Creek is more inviting even when asking people to blind sniff. The Knob Creek provides just a bit more room for vanilla and other flavors to come through for a more approachable smell and taste. Booker's bourbon mash bill is typically 77% corn, 13% rye, and 10% malted barley. Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve is a 9-year bourbon, has a mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. With the higher malted barley content, the main difference we should notice is you're going to get a little bit more sweetness from the Knob Creek compared to the Booker's. The slightly lower proof at 120 versus 124 is also likely to make it a bit softer. I think both have a place, but if we're talking utility, the Knob Creek Single Barrel takes it at half the price of the Booker's. It's also something that's likely a little bit more friendly to mix, especially at the price point. But in terms of the uniqueness of the whiskey, I've got to give it to the Booker's. I've never had a bourbon so nutty, and it provides a bit more than the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve. Knob Creek will definitely always have a place on my shelf, especially as something for old fashions. But if you want a bourbon that will help you challenge your perception of what a bourbon ought to taste like, the Booker's provides an exciting entry for the Jim Beam lineup. And now for some family photos. Thank you everyone for watching. If there's different bottles you'd like to see me try and compare, leave a comment down below. If you liked this video or if you learned something, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.